Hi, and welcome back to PLA Backstage Pass. I'm Tress, your most of the time host, and we are here with Ashley today, PLA's lead educator. Hi, Ashley. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. We're acting like we
don't know each other.
Just saw each other, and we've been working together for I don't know how long now.
A year.
It's been a year.
Almost.
Wow. That's incredible. Okay. So we're going to be talking about education today.
Very exciting.
Super excited about it.
It can be fun. Education can be fun.
It can be fun. I know that one of the things that we've been saying for about a year, because it's been super true, is that PLA is made to make a difference. And I wanted to ask what that means to you in your mission for education at PLA.
For me, education as a whole is about making a difference. So I think that really is, for me, what makes it so special. Like being at PLA, teaching classes. There's so many places in the lash industry that do education, that teach classes, that help people do better every single day in their lash business. But the way PLA does it, it's not just about making money. Obviously, everybody has a business to run, and profitability is important, but making sure that while we're making money, we're also helping people and helping their lives be better. That's really what I've always been about, from when I started my business to even before that, when I was a teacher, when I was a little girl, and I knew I wanted to make an impact. And that's always kind of been the word that lingers in my mind for me, is impact. So as a person, as an educator, as a lash artist, it was always about making a difference. So it just made sense for me to work for a company that does the exact same thing.
I love that. I know I've quit the beauty industry so many times, over and over again.
You're a professional quitter of the lash industry?
I think I am, but I always come back. It never fails. I always come back. And I think it's funny because for a long time in the beginning of my career, I was worried that I wasn't making an impact, that what I was doing wasn't making a difference. It was just beauty. I had somebody look at me once and go how do you feel about the fact that your career is all about vanity? And it crushed my soul. Right. And I was young 20 something. And that was the first time I gave up. Right.
That was clearly somebody who wasn't in the beauty industry.
Yes.
Because they would have known.
They would have known. Right. But for me, being able to know that what I'm doing makes a difference and makes an impact is so important. And as somebody who's been a trainer for a really long time, seeing the impact that we get to make on students is that never gets old for me. And I know that we've talked a lot about people's motivations behind becoming a trainer, and that can get to be a really deep topic really, really quickly.
We can go there.
But I wanted to ask you first, what was it that led you to be an educator and to want to make an impact in that way?
For the lash industry?
Yes, specifically.
Well, my lash business was really doing very well unexpectedly. Lashes was never supposed to be my long game. It was always supposed to be what put me through and helped me get my master's degree because I was a teacher. And quickly I made more money than I would have made as a teacher. And I was kind of why would I go back to school if I'm already making this much money? And then quickly people were asking me, Ashley, will you teach me? I want to be like you. You inspire me, things like that, which was really weird at first to hear people say. But over time, the demand just grew. And I saw people taking trainings that were subpar. It's something that's interesting about the progression from lash artist to lash trainer is that a lot of people think that just being a really good lash artist is enough. And that's just, okay, so that's my next level. And then that's kind of what they think. And that's not necessarily true. Just because you are an amazing teacher, let's use that example, doesn't mean you should be a principal of a school.
Right.
They're not the same job. It's very different. And so when I saw a lot of trainers out there that were good lash artists giving what I would consider to be subpar classes, it's probably because they don't have the formal experience in a classroom. They don't know how to build an itinerary. They don't know how to communicate different concepts to different learners and things like that, how to pick up on social cues telling you that somebody's not understanding something. There's so many layers to teaching a class other than monkey see, monkey do, which I think a lot of people think a class is. And so when I saw that, I had the demand, and then I saw a problem, trainings that weren't the best or could be better. My initial reaction was to like reach out to some of these trainers and say, hey, like I see you're doing a lot of trainings, but these are the feedback that I'm hearing. But I figured pretty quickly that wasn't going to work very well.
A dangerous zone.
I know. I just wanted to help. I wanted help, and I didn't think I was ready to train. I didn't think I was good enough. I'd only been lashing less than 2 years. So I'm like, there's no way I could do trainings. But there was this one girl that was like, Ashley, I got screwed over by this girl. She charged me $500 for a training. It was terrible. The products were poor. She used it wasn't even an Amazon kit. I want to say she got it like off eBay or something. It was, I couldn't even find it on the internet. And so she felt really, really, really just kind of disappointed and kind of like giving up. And we had a personal friendship. So I was like, hey, you know what? I'm not a trainer by any means, but I could probably do better than what that girl did. So just come hang out with me for a day. Like watch me do my clients, and then I'll spend some time with you in between during my break times, and we'll just do that. And I did it for free. I didn't charge her anything. I just wanted to help her. And literally within just a few months after doing that with me, she was able to leave her then not healthy relationship. She got her own apartment, and she was able to quit her job that she was doing and just do lashes. And in that short amount of time, the transformation that I saw on the day that she spent time with me, followed by the unbelievable transformation in her personal life that she got from learning how to do lashes effectively, and probably whatever tips I gave her and all those things, like business stuff, it really lit something up in my brain. Like, kind of like what that person told you, you're in an industry that's so vain, but teaching somebody and giving them, empowering them in a way that allows them to change the trajectory of their life was something that I was like, oh, I want to do this. Like, this is addicting.
Yeah. There's such a heart connection that can happen between a trainer and a student. And I personally believe that it's really hard to be a trainer that's as effective as one can be without a huge heart investment in it. For sure. And so,
I agree.
Like you said that you shared business tips with her and like training and technique and that kind of thing. But I'm sure like the heart that you shared with her and the personal conversations that you had too helped make an impact in her personal life, because 100%. Like it spills over from the professional into the personal.
Totally. Because it's easy to do the doubt and to say like, you're not validated, you're not good enough, or it's easy to do that. So if I was doing that as somebody who had a successful lash business, imagine the mindset that this girl was, in a tough relationship, not making very much money, not doing something fulfilling. So if my mindset was, I'm not good enough, imagine how she felt. So yeah, it's easy to not like think you have the skills, but once you do transfer that, and we both shared wanting to be better. And I think that's what connected us. Like, I had a different skill set that I was able to share with her, but ultimately we both just wanted to do better. Like, both of us come from not the most optimal backgrounds. And so sharing that was even deeper. Like, I think being somebody who comes from, has experienced adversity, and it doesn't have the picture perfect, like what you think of when you think of somebody as an inspiration or something along those lines. It really inspired her to be like, if Ashley can do it, I can do it. And I 100% believe that. Yeah. So it's that relating to them on a level, like I am exactly the same as you. And when I realized that, oh, I can do this and I can make a difference, not just vanity wise.
Right. Right.
That was
But even in that, like as lash artists, like there's probably people listening to this and people that are lash artists and they feel like their next step should be becoming a trainer because they want to make a bigger impact. But I think we make the biggest impact where we're called to, and not everybody is called to be in education. Yeah. But what we do for our clients as lash artists even like creates such an impact. There's like such a trickle down effect. So if we as a lash artist do somebody's lashes and they are able to look at themselves differently and feel more confident and feel better about themselves, and then walk out the door and treat people differently and be more friendly, or like feel like have better interactions even in their own household with their family, like that will impact the people that they connect with on a regular basis, which can really be that like sort of paying it forward thing because we just help somebody feel better about themselves.
That's exactly what attracted me to the lash industry. It was makeup first, and it was the same thing. Lashes to me was the closest thing to makeup. That immediate, I call it immediate gratification.
Yes. Oh, that's exactly why I did makeup too.
Whereas like waxing, you do get that for sure. Other services like facials, you do get a sense of like a temporary, I would say, immediate gratification. Whereas with makeup, you transform.
Right.
And with lashes, you transform. And I think those are the two, and hair for sure, that really transforms the way you see yourself, the way the world sees yourself. And what I noticed is that when I had lashes on, that's how I got into it, was I felt more confident at work, which is something that I've always kind of struggled with, is like, I felt like I could do things and that people would respect me more and like look at me differently because that's the way the world is. Like it might be just vanity, like that person said, but at the end of the day, how you look has a huge impact on the way people treat you, how much they respect you, the way you take care of yourself and present hugely impacts what you're capable of, not only internally, but even from the outside. And that's just real. Like people don't want to admit that.
That's psychology. Like actually there's been studies done about like getting dressed for the day and like doing things like to take care of yourself and show up a certain more presentable way literally like changes how your brain functions that day and how you believe in yourself.
So if you have lashes on every single day, right? And you wake up ready looking ready, but you also wake up feeling ready. And so that was the first thing that got me. But I agree. I think that sometimes people will see, you know, let's say me or you and like how you went on to be a trainer after X amount of time. Like me, it was less than 2 years, right?
Mine was 13 years.
And that's reality. That might have been when you were really ready. Maybe you know, and for me, because my background is mostly in education before lashes, it made sense. It made sense for me, but that just because I started training just after a year doesn't mean most people should.
Right.
Because like you said, you have to have the heart for it. A lot of people get into trainings because they hear how much money you can make, and you can, but it can be very short-lived. You can make a lot of money very quickly and then not make any more because you'll ruin your reputation.
And if you throw your whole lot into that, if like I've seen people go, okay, I'm going to be a trainer now. I think I have the skill set. I'm going to do this now. And they throw everything into that instead of maintaining their connection with their clients and like continuing to run and build their clientele, because we're always building essentially. And you're right. Like you can make a lot of money in a short period of time, but it has to be, there's like steps that you can take to make it
sustainable,
smart about it. Yes. And make it sustainable. And you and I had talked about like a trickle down effect that happens in the lash industry from a trainer's perspective. But I know that you're working on something now that actually it's more like an avalanche than a trickle down effect.
That's the hope. That's the goal.
But considering there aren't a lot of resources out there. Like you are such a resource because you were already in school. Like you knew you were going to be a teacher at your core. And can you tell me a little bit about like what you're doing now? Like what PLA is doing for trainers?
Yeah. So PLA, something that when I first got here, when I first came summer 2023, like I came here with all these ideas for Michelle, and I was like, Michelle, I want to do this. I want to do this. And I had this whole plan in my mind, but obviously PLA had their plan for what they were working on. We were working on at the time. So we had to kind of blend the two over time. And what I knew was that there is absolutely a need for quality, consistent, reliable, trustworthy educators. And
wait. Can you say all of those things again? Because those are all things that like
quality,
that's vital,
reliable, trustworthy trainers. Like there's lots of trainers who are great lash artists. There's lots of trainers who are great business people, even salespeople,
or have great personalities.
Sure, yeah, those are all important, or really hot and pretty, and like just aesthetic, and that will sell tickets too, right? That will sell trainings. But, and not to say there are no amazing trainers, but I just mean that there's a lot of trainers that kind of have little bits and pieces of what make us sustainable and what really make amazing lash artists. And what we see a lot in the Facebook groups, especially because that's where I spend a lot of my time researching and just getting to know what our customers are struggling with, what they want from PLA as a brand, what they're looking for in their business. And from Facebook to TikTok to Threads now, like all these different social media platforms, people are talking about how, you know, the lash industry is dying. And I hate to bring that. I know we don't want to be negative, but like that is a conversation that's been, and like that DIY lashes are ruining it, or that the economy is just, you know, swaying people from investing in luxury services. And so you hear a lot of that talk, but then you see people and that I talk to, lash artists that I see at trade shows or people in my DMs that are not experiencing that. Right. So then you wonder, like, is it the person? Is it the industry? Like, what is going on? And the more I research, the more that I talk to people, have like deep conversations and ask like probing questions, I find out that it's not the industry that's dying. It's the industry that's evolving. And that's not a new conversation. Many people have talked about that. But what I found, and this is across the board, not just in the beauty industry, but consumers are just getting smarter. People are using, resources are more abundant than ever before with the internet, and like it's really empowered people to be able to find the answers to the questions that they have. And so what that means is people who are interested in becoming a lash artist, because the demand is still there. Like people still want to do lashes, just like they want to do nails and they want to wax. Yeah. Like there's people who want it every year. The way I like to tell people is there's thousands and thousands of high school graduates every year. So every year there's a portion of those high school graduates that are interested in entering our world. And it's just our job to really educate them and guide them in the way that they want to be. But when you think about those trainers that are coming out and they're looking on TikTok or they're looking to the resources, like the platforms that they like to spend time on, it's kind of a needle in a haystack, right? Like it's if you're lucky, you find a trainer, and whoever you connect with first is more than likely who you're going to go with as a trainer. And if there's no resources telling people, like I wanted to reach out to the girls in my local area, if there's no one telling them that, hey, you should be covering sanitation, safety, natural lash growth. If there's nobody telling them that those should be included, because we all know beauty school doesn't cover it. Like beauty school is like, we get a 30-minute session of like, this is what lash extensions are. And now go practice on your classmate, right? So if nobody's teaching them what a quality course looks like and what a thorough, detailed class entails, it's not a matter of bad trainer versus good trainer. It's uneducated masses. And I think that's where we kind of got caught up in the industry of like, oh, these $50 lash artists or those unlicensed lash techs are the problem. And everyone just wants to blame people. But the truth is, if the resources aren't there, how can you blame anybody? Like we shouldn't be pointing a finger. We should be with open arms trying to help people have access to those things. Yeah. So that's what we're trying to do at PLA with the PLA Powered Trainer Program. It's kind of an umbrella that covers an initiative to provide those very resources that people need so that there really are no excuses. And like the best part about it is, which makes this the craziest thing ever, is that it's free. This is a program that I would easily, in my coaching time, would have charged thousands and thousands of dollars for.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
I've paid thousands and thousands of dollars for something similar.
Yes.
Or things similar, right? And so that's what makes this super special. So providing those resources, creating the solution to the problem that we see, instead of just complaining about it, instead of just shaming people, which I see a lot of, like, I'm a better trainer than my trainer was, so you should come to my class. That's not what we're doing.
That makes me so sad.
It does. And I get it, because there's that frustration, there's the time wasted, there's how much heart you have to help people. I see it. But we have to remember that, I hate to use this word, but sometimes it's not, carelessness, it's ignorance. If you don't know what you don't know, you can't do anything about it. So what we're doing is we're providing community resources and guidance for people who want to be that optimal, that amazing, reputable lash trainer. We are trying, instead of just relying on people to figure it out on their own, we're helping guide them through the process. So that looks like what the umbrella that I was mentioning for PLA Power Trainers is, we have 2 programs right now, and that might change later. We may have more, but at this time, with the capacity that we have in the education department here, we have 2 programs. One is called PLA Trainer Pro Network, and so that is your trainers who already hit all those boxes that we talked about: reliable, trustworthy, quality, thorough. If they already have that and they already are using PLA and they love PLA and they just want more, they either want more community or they want more support, or maybe they're so busy with the trainings that they're selling right now that they want to come out with newer, trendier courses, but they don't have the means or the time. This is for those people, the people who are already displaying those exemplary traits as a trainer, but just want more and they want to grow. This is for them. This network is meant to not only foster community between trainers around the world, but also it gives us as PLA the opportunity to kind of uplift them as well, to give them an extra boost with our community that we've built, with the exposure that PLA has as a larger brand in the lash industry. We're able to work with them on a way that I get to know them and I get to see where their strengths are so that we can highlight them, because we can invite them. We go to so many shows, and me, you, Michelle, and the rest of the team that speaks at these shows can only speak at so many. Like,
I mean, that's true.
You know, and like we've done it. We've done it so many times to the point where I think it's time to highlight other people. Like, I'm not saying that we never will be on there. Of course, we have our strengths too that we should be sharing, but other people do too. And that's what I'm really excited about, to see new faces. And that's another thing you hear about in the forums, right? Is like, oh, I love attending shows, but I see the same people over and over. This is another solution for that. So the Trainer Pro Network is for the trainer pros who already exist that want more. Whereas our other program underneath PLA Powered Trainers is called Trainer in Training. And you can think of this as not so much like, me and Michelle talked about this and we're like, we don't want this to be just, if you're not here, then you go there. It's not like that. It's really for people who have the desire, have the passion, love PLA products, but maybe are nervous, or maybe don't have formal training experience. Maybe they've taught their cousin and, you know, very informally done a couple demos, but don't really have the confidence to show up and really be a full force on social media and marketing their courses. And they want that confidence. They want me, or they want our team to look at what they're doing and say, where can I grow? Because I want to be the best. I don't want to just be a lukewarm educator. I want to put forth my best work. But who do they ask, right? Because it's one thing that I've found, and I know we say community over competition, but the truth is, and that's kind of easy to live by when you're a lash artist, because you can only do 40 clients a month, like max, right? Like, and that's a lot. But if you have 40 clients coming back every 2 weeks, you're fully booked, right? But so in a city of, even if you have a small town of 10,000 people, it's pretty not that impossible to get 40 clients.
Right.
But when it comes to trainings, those are fewer and far between, right? Not everyone wants to be a lash artist. So competition does get a little bit more, a little stronger as you.
I think you're being really nice about it.
You know,
I think it's incredibly competitive.
It is because when you're talking in a $2,000 class to spend 2 days with you, the type of profile of person that exists, they're doing their research. They're looking around, right? So now you may be friends with the lash artist in the salon down the street, but it might be a little weirder to ask the trainer in the city over, hey, can you check out my program and tell me, right? It's a little different because you're kind of fighting for the same students in a way. And that's where we come in, and it's like, hey, we'll run it by me, run it by our team. We have the capacity to look at your questions, and we just want to support you. So now for the trainer in training, it's the person who, like I said, just also wants more, but more so they can get their feet on the ground with training. And the cool thing is they get to work together too. So they'll get to learn from the trainer pros and the network. And the goal is to get everyone in the trainer in training to then join the Trainer Pro Network. And like our dream, Michelle's dream, she talks about, is that we have a trainer that we endorse in every city across America. And that would be the goal. Well, we're so happy to start with a small group of people. I think right now, just in the last week or so that we announced it, we've got about 50 people between the two programs, which is like beyond my dreams.
I think so exciting.
When I first started talking about this, I think I even told you, if I get 3 people, like if I find 3 amazing lash artists that have the fire, I'll be happy. And to think that that's how many people love PLA, want to be an educator that people love and know, and are willing to put in the work. There's so many other perks that come along with being a part of these programs that we can share if anybody's interested, if they want to come, reach out to me or apply, I'm open to it. But there's so much more to it.
Yeah.
But I know that's not what this is about. So I don't want to take up all the time.
No, it's okay. I did want to add, I know that some people have like the passion and the personality and the heart behind becoming a trainer, and they just want to serve. Like they want to take care of people really well. But going, like maybe they've had a couple of really good trainings in the past, but just because you've attended a good training doesn't mean you know how to recreate a good training.
100%.
And so I think that that's something that is really missing. Like it's kind of one of the big missing pieces of everybody, not everybody, but lots of people creating their own trainings because
they're a good student.
Yeah. And they have the heart for it, but they don't have, I don't want to say roadmap, but like they don't have the roadmap for it. Like it's not like a, hey, this is how you create a thorough PowerPoint presentation. And this is how you interact with a student that's having this kind of a day or this kind of a personality, or even talking about how like there are so many different kinds of personalities, and you need to be able to connect with each kind of personality. And you might not have somebody that you could go to and go, this is my experience, or this is what I'm concerned about happening. How would I connect with somebody in this
because even if you do have somebody, this is the other catch, right? There's another layer of like to this is you might have a girl a couple cities away who is open to having the conversation, but does she even know why her trainings do so well? She might not. Some people are just natural. Some people didn't study this. Some people are just naturally good at education and communicating. And so just because she's a really good trainer doesn't mean she can teach you how to be one either.
Right.
So whereas that's what we're here for, like that's what we do. We work with trainers. We work with artists who want to be trainers. This is not something that it's like a lash artist. I don't know if you've ever met a lash artist that you really like their work and you ask them for feedback or like, hey, I really want to achieve that look that you did. And they're just like, yeah, you just use 0.07 and
yes,
right.
I have been there.
And like they might be an amazing lash artist, but that doesn't mean they can teach you. And it's the same thing with trainings. You might have a friend who is a very successful trainer, but they don't really know what they're doing. I actually took a course that was to teach me like how to have a very sustainable lash business, not a training business just for my salon.
Okay.
And mind you, I was doing really well at the time, but I love to learn.
Lifelong learner.
Absolutely. So I took the class, and I remember when I told my husband how much it cost, he was like, are you crazy? Is it made out of gold? Do they promise you a franchise? Like what is involved? I'm like, no, I just want to learn. And so within the first 3 months of that class, it was a 6-month program, I remember thinking like, wow, I do all of this. I already do all of that. And so some people that were in the program at the same time as me said, yeah, this is such a waste of money. I already do all that. But which makes sense because of how much it costed. You had to be pretty successful to have paid for it. But I remember telling my husband, like, I don't feel like I wasted my money. Now I understand why all those things worked for me.
Yeah.
Now I understand why attending local, farmers markets and making contact with every single business owner that I could. I never knew what I was doing, like why I was doing it, but I knew that I should.
Yeah.
I didn't know why, connecting with other business owners or asking my clients how they found me. I never knew why that mattered, but I knew that it did. And I think I just had that. I had it naturally in me. When my husband was had his own barbershop, I would always suggest things to him, but I wasn't a business owner at the time. And I would be like, you should do this, you should do that. And he's like, no, like that doesn't make any sense. Why would I do that? But it just made sense in my head.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean.
You got a lot of validation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, like you can get that from this program as well. Like knowing that you're on the right track, there's something about that really helps you move forward.
Well, I think one of the things that everybody, I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
I think everybody struggles with self-doubt.
Yeah.
I think everybody questions their confidence, maybe their motives. Like it doesn't, you can look at the most confident person in the room, and if they're transparent with you, they will tell you that day, that week, that month, that year, whatever, they have struggled with self-doubt and self-confidence. And
unless they have the personality disorder.
We'll leave that there. We'll leave that one alone for now.
Because Yeah.
Yes.
Normal people.
Yeah. And it's interesting. Like I was at Lash Boss Summit last year or the year before. I don't remember. And somebody stood up there on stage and they were like, do you remember?
Yes.
They had everybody raise their hand and they were like specifically speaking to the people in the back of the room, the people who were the trainers, the people who were well known, the people who were speakers at the conference. And she was like, everybody turn around and look at them. And I want everybody, I have goosebumps. She's like, I want everybody to raise their hand if you have dealt with self-confidence issues like today or this week or recently. And like every single person raised their hand. And like the lash artists' faces when they saw that, it was like a blanket of okay, like came over the crowd.
They're
like
idols.
Everybody felt okay.
Yeah.
Because they were like, I'm not the only one who struggles with that. Like I'm not alone. And it's even if you feel like you're a good trainer, you do a good job, you have been doing it for years maybe, or you're just incredibly like that this is your mission. So like this is what you need to be doing. Having people to talk to and go, hey, did I mess this up? Or this is what happened, or this is what I'm anticipating. It helps relieve that self-doubt. It helps you know that you are not alone, and it helps you really be able to like lean into your strengths because you kind of have like a support net behind you if there are things that you don't have as strengths other people do.
Because you're not just guessing anymore.
Yeah.
And hoping that it works.
Yeah.
You have that community. And for me, like one of the things I'm looking forward to that I know is going to happen with the programs, between the programs, is that people are going to see somebody that, is in the Trainer Pro network, right? That we're sending students to, because that's our plan for this.
That's the point.
Is that we're going to send them students.
Yeah.
And that's why we have to vet them so thoroughly. But when the people in the trainer and training program look at them, and they might look at their skill set and think like, my sets are better, or, like not in like a mean competitive way, but in a confidence building way. Like, wow, I'm just as good at lashes as her. I have just as many followers as her, or, things like that. Like, oh, wow, she's actually kind of nervous when she talks on camera. And so am I. Like, I think what that's going to do is foster in themselves the confidence to be like, I could sell trainings. Like I can do that too, because you're right. People have that self-doubt and it prevents them from doing the thing.
From taking action. It's incredible to me how much I've doubted myself in my career. And like, it's the self-doubt that's made me quit so many times. It's not because I quit because I was like, ugh, I hate this. Yeah. It was self-doubt every single, not every single time. Most of the time. And it's only having had a community around me that I can see that from them. Like I have people share that with me. And I think transparency is one of the biggest things that I share with my students, because if something that I've gone through or experienced can help show them that it's normal and that they're not alone, like that's the most beautiful thing. And I know that you pour so much into like sharing with people and helping them feel confident. And I think you're just the perfect person to be able to help grow them all up.
Right. Thank you. Yeah. No, and I think like probably the biggest, what we talk about, the ripple effect with, being a lash artist and being a trainer, the ripple effect that's going to come from this program or Avalanche is that it's not going to stop at the trainers, right? Of course, I'm going to work directly with the trainers and mentor them and guide them and all those things. But the best part about it is this is the thing. PLA has done free trainings essentially for years. Like that's been at the core of who PLA is. Like free education isn't just something that PLA does. It's not a gimmick. It's who Michelle is. So, and the heart of PLA is the heart of Michelle, right? That's where it all started. So free education is just something that's her whole core being, right?
It is. And like she gives away
too much.
So
too much, whether it's physical items or if it's money or if it's like her time,
knowledge.
So many people have her cell phone number and they shouldn't. Like she gives. And so it made sense for, at a certain point about 4 or 5 years ago, for PLA, Paris Lash Academy, to start hosting trainings that were basically free.
Can you explain how?
Yes. Yeah. So most classes, I'll use myself for an example. When I first started teaching, when I decided that it was time, because I'm a numbers person and I'm a salesperson at heart, I figured out what is profitable. I average about $750 a day as a lash artist, mind you, working like crazy hours. That's too many clients in a day, but that's how much I was making. So it made no sense for me to make anything less than $1,000 a day for me to teach you everything I know, right? On top of that, I have a kid, I've got to provide lunch and all these things. So my class was 2 days for $2,500.
Yeah.
And I remember when I first sent that email, like I had, when I announced that I was going to do it, I had over 100 people inquire. You know how many people booked once I sent that email out?
I was thinking 10.
Yeah, me too. No, same. I told my husband, I was like, I could do 10 in 1 week and I'll rent a studio, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I had one girl who was brave enough to pay that. It was $24.99. And
yeah, because
of course, because
psychology
it makes a difference. And her sister paid, which was cool. Her sister was my client. And I remember kind of being defeated at the time and being like, wow, only one person. But my husband was like, Ashley, that's a lot of money. Like that's a lot of money. I was like, you're right. So that was the norm. $2,000 to even up to $5,000 for a weekend course was pretty standard at the time.
Yeah, my first volume course was 2 days and it was
right up there.
Around there.
Exactly. And so in that industry, you have to remember, I'm giving you this context to show that at the same time that I was doing that training, Michelle was starting at Paris Lash Academy here in Reno doing trainings. But instead of charging $2,500, the way they did it was they charged about $500 and you get a extensive kit, way bigger than the one I was giving. And also lunch was provided, like something that we have been doing. And when I started here, we did as well, was you get a headshot. There's so much that you get. You get a marketing class, like a social media class with, at the time it was Caitlin, the VP of marketing at the time. Like it was so much that you would get. The kit alone was worth the $500 that the $400 that you paid. So essentially PLA was actually losing money because between my salary and the rest of the team, you know, our audio visual team salary, and also even just the food and everything that you were getting, it was, we were losing money, really. Right. And that was something that Michelle was okay with. She's like,
she was perfectly fine with it. It's one of the first things I talked to her about. And I was like,
crazy.
What are you doing? Like and you should be charging for this. And she's like, I don't want to. I'm like, okay.
And it gets better. But wait, that's not it.
But wait, there's more.
On top of that, that $400 didn't go into pay to all that stuff. That $400 went into Paris Pays Your Bills, which is a fund where the PLA gives money to lash artists or pays their bills or buys them a car. Some girl got a car, like, you know, like freaking Oprah. Yeah. And so when I say free, it's yes, you paid the $400, but you got so much more value. And so because that's the heart of PLA, the truth is it was great. And at the time when Michelle, it was just her and Lana, and then like slowly the education team grew, it worked. But now we're in a PLA has grown, and so have the lash artists, right? The people who've been working with PLA for the last 5 years, buying the product 6 years, however long, they've grown as lash artists. They're not beginner lash artists who need beginner trainings anymore. They're in a position where they're teaching other people. And so it was beautiful and it was great, but on the average, our classes were selling out at about 8 students, right? We tried not to take more than 10. We tried to keep it between 8 and 10 students. We did that once a month because of how much we did, the whole production that it was. And, you know, me being the only in-house trainer here, that's 8 people's lives that we dramatically improved every month. But in the grand scheme of things, when you have thousands of students graduating every year wanting to learn, we realized that we were in a way kind of underserving the community because we have so much more to give. We have so much more that we can do to help the community, and helping 8 students every month, it just wasn't the most impactful way that we could spend our time. Yeah. And that's where this kind of it came to life. It's like, how can we help more people? Well, the way we do that is without, you know, cloning ourselves. We kind of do. We do in a way clone ourselves. We take people who have the same heart as we do, the same values as PLA, and teach them everything that we know so that they can do it in their town, so that they can do it for the people in their community. So now instead of me helping 8 students a month, I mean, I can help hundreds.
You could be touching hundreds.
Hundreds. Yeah. And now it's not just hundreds that it's not even in a weird like self-glorification way. No. It's not like I get to work with 800 people a month. It's 800 people a month don't have to have the same poor experience with the training that I did. It's right. And I don't have to fly all around the country to do it. we can
to
do
make
that.
such an impact.
And then I get to now gift that feeling of what I had with the girl that I helped change her life. Like I get to gift that to trainers all around the country. So it really kind of just uplifts and it solves that problem of, you know, uneducated, you know, lash artists that are just kind of figuring it out and winging it, because we're going to have an army of PLA trainers that share our same heart that are going to then transfer that over. It just multiplies.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's exciting.
So one of the things that we wanted to talk about on this episode is what, I mean, like we've touched on it, like what it takes to be a good trainer.
Right.
But I kind of want to look at that and go, how can we encourage people who want to be trainers in like the resources or the personality traits that it would be important for them to cultivate as they like start that journey.
Right. Being an amazing trainer isn't going to come naturally to everybody, and that's okay. Being a lash artist didn't come natural to me, for sure.
Same girl.
Right?
Whoa.
But look at us now. And so if you feel like defeated or you feel apprehensive about it, you're like, well, I don't have any of those traits that Ashley was talking about. It didn't come natural for me. That's kind of the point of the program as well. But let's say you're not ready to commit to a program, something like this, or maybe you still don't have that confidence to join it. Because I do believe every time I receive an application, I think, wow, this is amazing that they have the confidence and, you know, like that they believe in themselves, that they think that they should be a part of this.
It takes guts.
It does,
like,
because there's people who didn't.
For all of the people that applied, I would say there's probably double that amount of people who didn't because they just don't think that they're there yet.
Absolutely. My dad always used to tell me that if one person says it, 10 people are thinking it.
Yeah.
So it's like the same concept. Like for sure, there's tons of people that were interested that are just not, maybe they want to see who's in it and they want to see like, do I compare or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like there's no rush. This is not going anywhere. This is not a program that is just going to kind of exist and then disappear.
No, it's like your life now.
It literally is our life now. My life specifically. No,
Our lives, but your life.
No, literally. And so if you're one of those people that's kind of like, okay, well, I want to work on myself a little bit, or I want to take steps in that direction before I make the commitment. I actually really commend anybody who's in that position, because if there's one thing I am, it's always looking to be better. And I mentioned, you know, being reliable, quality training. And the way that you get there is you start either, if, like I said, if you don't want to be in this program, start being open to the idea that you have room to grow and look for resources elsewhere. Ask questions. That's a big thing that you can do that people are afraid to do. Ask questions from somebody who isn't that far ahead of you. I think sometimes we get wrapped up in like, I need to ask the most top trainer or the top best person in the world. And that is where you kind of create that blockage for you. You kind of make resistance in yourself.
Absolutely. Because you're comparing yourself to this huge elite level and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to get there. And in reality, you just have to take the next step.
You don't have to DM LeBron James to be a better basketball player.
Right on.
Right? Like,
Yes.
and I think that's what we do. We do that to ourselves, and we think
do.
that we have to reach out to like the top person in the industry to be better. But I would say ask questions from somebody who's just a little bit ahead of you. That's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Someone that's like 3 steps ahead. Because the best part about that, and this is something that I haven't seen a lot of people talk about, but is that what got LeBron James to where he is today, if my brother did that today, it might not work for him. It's not the same environment. It's not the same climate, right, in that industry. And so it's the same thing. What got me to where I am and where you are, you know, today, it may not be applicable to somebody else because it's changed.
It's changed a lot, even in the last 5 to 7 years. It's changed so much.
So you're doing yourself a disservice by even asking them, because they might give you honest feedback and tell you like, yeah, do this. This is what I did. But it might be out of touch today. Right. So it's actually better to ask somebody who's just 2 steps ahead of you, someone who's done 3 trainings. It doesn't have to be someone in our Trainer Pro network. It could be somebody who's done 3 or 4 trainings and you noticed, this is my pro tip, is like, are there students doing well as lash artists? And
yes,
that's something that I prided myself on when I was a lash trainer in my local town. And like, I wasn't doing 100 trainings a month, but the 8 to 10 students I was doing a month, the majority of them were going on and actually doing lashes and sticking with it. That's really important. I think sometimes you want to ask the girl in town or maybe a couple towns over that teaches 40 students a month. But if you look at the longevity of those students, you're like, oh, wow, none of their people even stick with it. That's probably not the person you want to ask. There's someone you want to ask how to sell your trainings probably, but not necessarily how to create a course or something like that. Another thing that you can do, and this is, controversial, but you can take more classes. Like,
yes, absolutely.
I say it's controversial only because those classes may not be that good. And that's the catch, right?
Okay, but you and I talked one time and I loved, I asked you a question about a class that you took that you didn't love and you didn't learn much from and was actually kind of weird.
It was very weird.
And I asked you about it and I was kind of like, oh, and your immediate response was, I'm so glad I took it.
Totally.
And I was like, tell me why.
Yeah, exactly. Because you learn even from, bad examples, right? Poor examples. And also keep in mind too, just because I didn't like the course doesn't mean the rest of the class didn't love it. That might have been, she might have been speaking directly to them and she just wasn't speaking to me, and that's okay too. So that's really what I mean when I say take more classes. I know sometimes we're like, well, I already took a class. I already know how to do lashes. Yes, but you don't know what is the best way to explain something. What is the best way to deal with certain situations? So if you attend classes where things are going to happen, right? Unexpected things happen. If you can see how they deal with it or how they set the classroom up, or you're going to learn a lot. Go with the intent to take notes, not so much on the curriculum or the lessons that they're teaching.
Or to copy them.
100%. Yes, let's put that out there. We're not going to copy them.
No.
It's more to gather what you like and what you don't, just like a lash artist does. And so I would say that's something that you could do. And I know it's an investment and it's scary. And it's like, well, the whole reason I want to, brings me to my next point, is like the whole reason I want to be a trainer is because I want to make more money. I don't have money to invest in those trainings. That brings me to the next thing is, if you want to be an amazing trainer and you are really dedicated to that, you really have to get your lash business to a point where it is sustainable on its own and you don't have to be pouring tons of time and energy and effort into getting clients. If you're struggling to maintain or attract clients right now, I would put a pin in it. Like, know that this is your goal long term.
Like, keep taking notes, keep learning,
for sure,
learn about leadership and observe all of the things. But yes.
And take classes and ask questions, sure. But also, like, this is something that I feel needs to be said, is that a lash business providing services is one business. It's a service providing business. Lash training, being a lash trainer, is a separate business. So it's kind of like when a company starts, let's say there's a small business starting a coffee shop in your neighborhood. Generally speaking, within the first couple years of opening that coffee shop, they're not opening an auto body repair shop at the same time, more than likely, unless they're just like filthy rich and they just have the time and the money to do that. But generally, mom and pops, generally speaking, are not doing that because they need to get this one on the ground. Not to say you can't own a coffee shop and an auto repair shop, but you're just not going to open them at the same time, or not even close to them. And so it's the same thing. These are two different businesses. It's not just a new avenue of making money through your business.
Right. It's not an extension of your business, or just like, it's not like taking super clients now.
Yes. No, and I definitely think that's what people think.
Yeah.
They think it's just like, okay, my clients that love me so much. And you may have some. You may have clients that love you so much and you're inspiring them because you see them every 2 weeks and you hype them up and you tell them all the trips you're taking and all these things. And they may very well be inspired by you, but they're not wanting to take your class because you do their lashes. They're wanting to take your class because you've inspired them. And it's very different. So I would definitely say make sure that your lash business is at a place where you can take off 1 or 2 days from work from it and it'll still survive and you'll still survive. Like, don't go into debt to become a trainer, because then that's where it becomes unsustainable. Like, you're not able to maintain it. And I feel like if you have that, if you've taken classes and you know what you like and what you don't, if you have asked lots of questions and you kind of have most of your stuff answered and your business is in a good place, it's in a healthy spot, I think, honestly, I feel like that's when I believe you're ready to go, because everything else is just figuring out how to do it. But that's how you know you're ready. That's my opinion.
I think that's really, really sound advice and thorough.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I've taught classes about this before.
No, so. I can tell. I can tell. I also think that one of the traits that I would look for in somebody who I would want to teach to be a trainer personally would be somebody who has like a heart towards service. Like everybody in this industry is in the service industry in one way or another, but it doesn't mean that you enjoy serving people necessarily. 100%. Like sometimes you just really enjoy the immediate effect and the art of it, right? Totally. Like maybe connecting with clients and like helping share your life with them so that their lives improve. The connection. That's not for everybody, and that's totally okay. You can be an excellent service provider in a lot of different ways, but if your heart isn't towards service, I would say explore that. Yeah. And like look into that like inwardly for yourself before going into something that's training, because if you're just doing it to make money, those are the people that I see really unhappy with their decision to be a trainer, even if they are making money, because they just felt like it's what they needed to do. And I think that it's
maybe online training could be for those people.
Yeah, like create an online course and sell it so that you don't have to interact with that. If you want to share your knowledge, but like having like a service forward heart isn't the thing. One of the things that I don't remember where I heard it, but like I've been in a lot of like coaching, and I've learned a lot of coaching. I actually was coached for 2 years to become a coach, and like life coach, like mindset stuff. And one of the things that I learned, it was before that, but I've always sort of had a direction, like a mind direction. And that's a weird way to say that. I've always kind of gone in that direction mentally. Okay. Is that if you, I want to say it right. If you're taking students, the biggest thing that you need to know is that you need to want them to be better than you. Yes. You need to want them to surpass you. Absolutely. And if you feel like it's going to be a threat, if you teach a student who it could potentially surpass you and you're going to get upset about it or anything like, or threatened or whatever, like that's something that is worth working through before trying to become a trainer, because you have to want, it's like if you have kids, like you always want more for them than you had. You always want better for them than you had. And you have to want more for your students, and just like take it as a compliment if they far excel past you. And I've had a lot of students that I feel like I've experienced that with. I've even had students that I've looked at in class and gone, why are you here? Like, you're better than me already. Michelle was one of them. Yeah. I literally looked at her when I trained her and I was like, why are you here?
You don't need this.
Yeah. And she was like, because I like learning. And I was like,
And the funny thing is that from a sales perspective, because that's me, the way my brain works is I knew from the get that I wanted my students to be better than me and more successful.
That's beautiful though. But, most people don't know that.
Well, it was a little selfish.
Oh, okay.
The reason why is because then I'd sell more training.
Yeah, it makes you look real good.
Yeah, I would always tell them you're an extension of me.
Yes.
So if you do well, I would tell them in class, I'm gonna take credit for that, just so you know.
Like, I love that.
I'm gonna tell people that I taught you, and they would laugh and they'd be like, if you get me to make 6 figures, you can tell everyone you birthed me for all I care.
That's so funny. I've always been like, no, it wasn't me. You did a really good job. That's fantastic. I love that for you.
And I would tell them though. I'm like, just so you know, I'm gonna tell everybody.
That's great.
Yeah, you have to know that though, that it is a good thing for the people that you mentor in any capacity to grow past you. You have to.
Yeah. And I mean, like eventually it's just like the way that's life's going to happen.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
And that's what I hope for the people in the program that I'm working on, is my goal is to highlight them in a way that allows them the confidence, but also the attention and the exposure so that they can do that very thing. Because for me, the funny thing is like, and I've had these conversations with people and they doubt me, it's fine, but I never wanted to do any of this. Like, that's the thing. Like, anything that I've done, like, I never wanted to be in the lash industry. Okay. I never wanted to be a service provider. I never wanted to be a business owner. I definitely never wanted to speak on stage. Like, I never wanted to do most of what I do now. Like, that was just, now the why behind it, sure, it's always been there. The impact and helping people, yes. But like the way it looks, this is the furthest thing from what my imagination was. I thought I was going to be like Miss Honey from Matilda and like making little kids' lives better and being the light in their life every day and decorating my room. Like that's who I wanted to be. And so to be in this position now where there is a lot of attention and there is a lot of cameras, there is a lot of just, overall just people's eyes on you.
Exposure.
That was never what I wanted. And so the thing is, there are people who do. And so that's...
I was one of them.
Like,
I've been on stage since I was
this.
3 years old and everybody's like, you are a ham. And I'm like, yep, put me in front of a camera. It's fine.
And I love that. And that's what I want. I hope to find the yous out there that maybe don't have the confidence or the experience, right? That empowers them to do it in this world, in the lash industry. I hope to find those people that have the skill set, have the heart for it, but maybe just don't know where to start. I want to take them and blow them up. Like that's what I want to do because I never wanted it.
Okay, so that brings me to something else. I'm bunny trailing a little bit, but I'm excited about it. So one of the conversations, I'm actually derailing. But
it's okay.
We're going to come back.
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the conversations in the industry right now is heavily just prevalent at the moment, which is people wanting to work for brands.
Yes.
Right? Yes. Like we both work for PLA.
Right.
And I've always told everybody I have absolutely no intention or desire to go create my own company and try to build this myself. I'm not a business person at heart. I like being part of a team. I like being part of a community. And I like working towards common goals. And there are a lot of people out there that are doing their own thing right now or running their own business. And we're seeing people stop running their own businesses or trying to join a team. Right.
Me.
Yes. It's been you too.
Yeah.
And so I've had my own business like off and on, but it's only been like my own little thing. And I'm like, I'm that's all I needed.
Yeah.
Because I knew that I didn't want to do everything else. And I think one of the things that people are looking for, I'm sure people message you about it. I know people message me about it. I know people message Michelle about it. And it's that there's so many people now seeing value in being part of a team and being part of a community and wanting to work for a company that is already grounded and established. But there is only so many jobs out there, like roles that you or I occupy. And so this pro trainer network, what you're doing, I think is so cool because I'm just like, I'm putting like pieces together that I haven't actively thought about before, which is it's giving them that grounded foundation and it's giving them that backbone and it's giving them that community that so many people are looking for, which is why they're reaching out to companies for jobs, but it's allowing them their independence as well while supporting them in the way that we might be supported.
Yep.
And that's just
magical.
Wow.
Right? Isn't it cool? Like I think at trade shows, that's the main that's where a lot of this came from too. And or at least the way we built it out is like people would come up to us at trade shows and for every 10 questions I got asked, 4 of them were, are you guys hiring?
Right.
I want to be a part of your team. Like it was like a vast majority of the repetitive questions that we got. And the truth, like you said it perfectly. There's only so much room at a company for employees, right? But this gives you kind of the best of both worlds. Yeah. You get supported, you get support, you get a community, but also you get to do it your way. And that's something that's special about this program too, that I didn't really touch on earlier.
Right.
Is that something that Michelle and I are very, very, and I know you are too, but when we were first talking about this, Michelle and I both agreed, like, we don't want this to be like a teach PLA's way or don't teach at all. Like PLA way or the highway. Like, and I don't mean anything, by the way, too. I want to clarify that I don't mean that brands that do that are bad or anything. I think there's value in it too. There's a comfort in it. There's a quality control. There's a comfort in it for the trainer. It's also a lot more sustainable for the brand. It's easier, right? So this is your curriculum you have to teach. This is how you have to teach it. This is the time frames. Like this is like they give you the structure and this is how you have to do it. And I definitely think there's value in that, but it just wouldn't align with PLA. Something about PLA is like we encourage, if not foster, individualism. Like that is important. And it's a big part of why I came here is because I didn't want to, I had other offers, but I didn't want to work somewhere where I felt like I had to be who they wanted me to be. And I, you know, Michelle being an immigrant coming to another country and like, that's for me, I knew like she was definitely different than, and she was going to allow me to be who I am. I wear my hoops every day and I wear my street clothes and I speak how I speak. I don't feel like I have to do things any particular way. She trusts me.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to pass that on. And that's really what you get with this program is like, you get to still be yourself.
And use your own training if you already have it, or use our training if that works better for you.
And I just don't, maybe I'm mistaken, but I did a lot of research because that's what I do. And I don't know any other company that gives that amount of freedom with this amount of support. I just don't know. I've never seen it. And so for me, that's what really excites me about it is yes, there are other trainer programs. There's other, networks that support you from brands, but not the way we're doing it. And that's what's really exciting.
And it's really embracing like unique individuality and celebrating those things instead of like, so you said we're trying to clone ourselves, and like you mean in our skill sets.
Yes.
But then everybody gets to take it and run with it in their own unique direction.
Yeah.
And that is beautiful.
Yeah. I think that it's going to be huge, honestly. Like I
think it already is.
It is.
It just started.
For sure. And that's funny because when I talked to like our VP Jeff and I talked to Michelle, once the application started coming in and I was really taking the time to review them and all those things, it hit me at one point that this is going to be huge.
Massive.
Yeah. And it's funny because like I told you, I'm okay if we just get 3. Like I was fully prepared for this to be just like a small subset
I
thing.
was too.
And then to see the eagerness, to see the messages I'm getting from them, people who've been accepted and like, when can we hit the ground running? Like I want to start now, I want to just do all I can. I realized very quickly that this was going to be a lot bigger than I imagined. And it was funny because I told Michelle in a meeting we were having very seriously, I was like, Michelle, you know me. I think the worst about everything. I have severe anxiety and I'm always prepared for it, the absolute worst. And I think this is going to be amazing and huge. And she was like, wow, for you to say that?
Yeah.
Like that is scary.
Scary, amazing.
Yes, good. Scary, good.
Scary, amazing.
Good, scary.
I love it. I think that's a really exciting note to wrap up on. Yeah. If you guys have questions about being powered by PLA and the Pro Trainer Network in any capacity, please reach out to Ashley. Yep. What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Education@plapro.com. That's just the catch-all for emails with anything to do with education, but it helps me to be able to funnel and like pay attention. Because something that I do, by the way, is I know some people don't love questions and they don't want to be bothered. I do. I want to be bothered. I want you to ask me, and it's actually how I make everything better. Yeah. So if you're asking me, remember what I said earlier, if one person's asking, 10 people are thinking it. Yep. If you're asking me a question that maybe isn't clear or something, I'm going to do my best to make it not have to be that way ever again. Yeah. I want people to know. So education@plapro.com, or you can also just DM me on Instagram, AshleyGPLA. That works. I prefer people don't try to reach out to me through like our main page, like Paris Lash Academy, because customer service is already busy. Just directly to me. Don't be afraid. I'm not going to bite your head off.
I think that's really helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Our next episode is going to be with Erin, who you might know from Monarch Lash Co. But she is also, she's come on board at PLA in our product development and global compliance department. And we're going to be talking about like the innovation behind some new launches that we have coming up. So like this is a huge new launch, and that's going to be a huge new launch.
Just nerd out on Lash stuff.
Yeah, like the development behind it. It's really, really exciting. So that is coming next. Stay tuned. Hang with us. And next time, I have a couple of different ideas of what you and I could talk about the next time we're sitting here together. But it's going to be good.
Yay.
Yeah.
Excited.
Okay. Thanks, guys.